The latest of Donald Trump's picks for his cabinet have raised concerns among environmental groups and policymakers. Ex-Texas Governor Rick Perry has been chosen as the Energy Secretary, a man who wanted to dismantle the very department he's set to be in charge of. And earlier this week, Mr. Trump picked ExxonMobil CEO Rex Tillerson as Secretary of State, an oil executive whom many insist will undermine global action to address climate change. Well, earlier I spoke to Professor of Political Science Peter Matthews, the author of the book Dollar Democracy.
He's got three people there, an oil man, the Secretary of State, and he's got Rick Perry, the Secretary of the Energy Department, and he would be Texas oil supporter of oil, and then you got Scott Pruitt, who's the appointee for the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency. That's a three-pronged attack on clean energy and conservation and a fight against global warming. It's actually saying that Donald Trump believes what he said earlier, that global warming is a hoax. That's what he said. In fact, he called it a Chinese government plot to derail the U.S. economy. So even though he's backtracked a little bit on that, it looks like his appointments and his actions are speaking louder than words. It's kind of a shame in a way, because China is very concerned that the U.S. may withdraw from the Paris Accords, which is so important, which all the countries in the world have signed, basically, including the United States. If we withdraw, it'll be a big blow to climate, to stop climate disruption.
Let's talk about the reasons behind Donald Trump's choice here. First of all, with Rick Perry, he's put him, nominated him to head up the Energy Department, which he wanted to actually dismantle. Why do you think Donald Trump would choose him for this?
Well, for that very reason, I believe, because this is an attempt to deregulate the economy, meaning these very cabinet departments that were established in the government, at the beginning of the country's history, were there in order to write the rules that would implement legislation in those given areas. So in the energy area, the Congress passes laws about energy, and the Energy Department writes the rules and then implements the rules. So if you put someone in charge of implementing the rules and then make him slow the rules down and or dismantle the rules, you're deregulating the energy industry, and you're actually creating a lot of problems for regulation. And that's, I think, what Donald Trump wants. He's argued that if there's too much regulation now, if we could deregulate the economy more in so many areas, that business can make more money and it'll trickle down, everyone will prosper, that they'll be hiring more people, investing more. It's an old theory of Ronald Reagan in a sense. It's kind of a trickle-down economics theory. And more concerning about that is the fact that we're beyond the pale. We're getting very close to that in climate change. 2 degrees centigrade above rising temperatures is chaotic, and we're at 1.7 right now. So it's very important. You see the extreme weather conditions going on. And most of the countries of the world actually agree on this, and even the largest economy besides ours, China, second largest, has agreed to do this, to sign this. And the United States withdrawing would be a horrible, horrible setback. There were reasons the founders set up a cabinet to carry out the laws the way they're written and to have some regulation in place.
Well, let's take a look at why Donald Trump claims that he's put Rick Perry as head of the Energy Department. Now, he says he's a man who's come from a business climate that's produced millions of new jobs and lowered energy prices. And he's really, again, sticking to that promise that he wants to put people who've got a good business background, a good successful background in place in his administration. Surely that's a good thing.
It would be if you don't go to the extreme and do so much deregulation that you actually hurt the very people you're supposed to be helping. If we have climate disruption continue, it's going to cost us so much in terms of the coastal lines and the insurance costs going up with the severe storms, and that will defeat any purpose of making the economy grow for the working people or for middle-class people or anyone. Even the wealthy will suffer with this. So he has to be very careful about this and not roll back so many of the importantly gained legislation and regulations that are based on real science. I mean, the IPCC, the International Panel on Climate Change, has come out, most all of the scientists of the world, about 95% or more, have said that climate change is caused by human activity because the temperatures have been rising, skyrocketing in the last 100 years since industrialization began, 150 years. So this is based on science, and Donald Trump needs to go with the science. I understand the need to allow business to have entrepreneurship and to be rewarded for it and not over-regulated. But there really has to be a balance, and I think that Donald Trump needs to make sure he doesn't overstep the balance. Most people are very concerned about this, including some Republicans who are very sensible about the need for sensible regulations in all areas of the economy.